Let's bring it down, y'all. Well, first and foremost, I want to welcome everyone back to City Council as we kick off our 2024 City Council session. I note that the hour has come and that a quorum of this council is present. Council will come to order. Members will please take their seats. Visitors will retire to the seats outside the rails. Before proceeding, I will ask all those present to please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate. Thank you. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Pastor James A. Lovett II of the Great Tasker Street Missionary Baptist Church in South Philadelphia. He is here today as my pastor, guest, and friend. I will ask all members and guests to please rise.
Let us pray together. We come, our Father, this special morning, and we thank you that we are alive to witness this moment of history. We're praying that you will guide this council in wisdom and in harmony, that the city might be greater. We thank you for your grace and your mercy, and we ask you, our God, because you're kind to us, that you will allow us to see and witness many victories this year. In the name of Jesus the Christ, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. The chair thanks the pastor for his invocation. Council will be at ease. The next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Tuesday, January the 2nd of 2024. Can y'all bring it down some, please? The chair recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 be approved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded that the journal of the meeting of Tuesday, January the 2nd, 2024 stand approved. All in favor will indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the journal is approved. The next order of business is request for leaves of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, there are no requests for leave of absence today.
The chair thanks Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. The chair recognizes Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the minority leader, we request a leave of absence for Councilwoman Brooks.
The chair thanks the council member and leave will be granted. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council and that were...
Reporting in as present.
Councilmember O'Neill is recognized as being present. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to today's session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council and as required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a resolution on or returning a resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included on the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the legislative matters stated by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of this session of council. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. The chair will dispense with the regular order of business to recognize the guests and visitors joining us in chambers this morning. On behalf of all members of City Council, I welcome you to our council session. We appreciate your taking the time to join us as we attend the legislative affairs of our city. We certainly invite you to come again. As there are no presentations today, the next order of business is communications. The chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms deliver the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. The chief clerk will read the messages from the mayor.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2464 North Natrona Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 5906 Market Street and 5908 Market Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 4320 and 4322 Lancaster Avenue, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and an ordinance amending Title 11, Streets, and Title 21, Miscellaneous, of the Philadelphia Code to amend requirements concerning publication of notices in newspapers, and a resolution confirming the appointment of Adam N. Gear as the Chief Public Safety Director, and a resolution confirming the appointment of Renee Garcia, Esquire, as the City Solicitor, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. The messages will be printed in the journal. The chief clerk will please read any other communications in his possession.
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you. The next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. The chair recognizes Councilmember Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. It's good to see you up there. I offer one bill for introduction today.
Thank you, Councilmember Phillips. This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a multi-year agreement with Bennett Compost Incorporated for food scrap collection and management of compost facility on city property located at 5650 Rising Sun Avenue.
Thank you very much. This bill will now be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. Today I offer 3 bills and 7 resolutions, 1 bill and 2 resolutions on your behalf.
The clerk will read the titles of the bills and resolutions.
An ordinance amending Title 11 and Title 21 miscellaneous of the Philadelphia Code to amend requirements concerning publication of notices in newspapers. And an ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to create the Office of Homeless Services, Ombudsperson, as set forth in a resolution approved by council. And an ordinance amending Chapter 9600, Service and Other Businesses of the Philadelphia Code to add requirements that retail customer parking lots maintain video surveillance of parking areas.
The bills will be referred to the,
And a non-privileged resolution for referral confirming the appointment of Adam N. Gear as the Chief Public Safety Director. And a privileged resolution recognizing January 22 through 26, 2024 as National Gun Violence Survivors Week. And a privileged resolution honoring the African American Children's Book Project on the occasion of its 32nd annual African American Children's Book Fair. And a privileged resolution recognizing January as Cervical Cancer Awareness Month and commending the Pennsylvania National Cervical Cancer Coalition, Northwest Philadelphia Chapter Leader Angela, the Survivor Diva Reese, for her work promoting awareness about cervical cancer. And a privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Finance to investigate the operations and significant overspending of the Office of Homeless Services under the previous administration, as well as quality of services provided in the homeless services system. And a privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to hold hearings concerning the practice of leveling and its impact on students and teachers in the school district of Philadelphia, especially following the learning loss caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And a non-privileged resolution for referral, proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter, providing for the creation of the Office of Homeless Services Ombudsman, and providing for the submission of the amendment to the electors of Philadelphia.
thank you, Michael Decker, Mr. Chief Clerk. The bills read will be referred to the appropriate committee. The privileged resolutions will be placed on today's final passage calendar, and the non-privileged resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jamie Gaudier.
Thank you, Council President. Today, I offer two non-privileged resolutions and a privileged resolution, as well as a non-privileged resolution on your behalf.
Would the clerk please read the titles of the resolutions?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development to conduct a hearing on the City of Philadelphia's capacity to prepare individuals of all educational backgrounds for careers in the growing life sciences industry with a focus on the cell and gene therapy subsector. And a non-privileged resolution approving the 2023-2024 Neighborhood Preservation Initiative Program Statement and Budget, which addresses the expenditure of $150 million by various agencies in the third year of the Neighborhood Preservation Initiative Program. And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 5906 Market Street and 5908 Market Street located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 4320 and 4322 Lancaster Avenue located in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Thank you very much. The privileged resolutions will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The non-privileged resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for the consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilman Isaiah Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I have one bill, three resolutions on my behalf, one resolution on your behalf, Council President, and I would like to be recognized upon the introduction of the resolutions.
Will the clerk read the title of the resolutions and bill?
An ordinance amending the Philadelphia Code to add a new chapter 213400 entitled Youth Name, Image, and Likeness Protection to establish provisions related to education and counseling for certain Philadelphia youth and their families who are considering licensing publicity rights. And a privilege resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to investigate the rise in moving violations and traffic deaths since 2020 and explore solutions to create a safer Philadelphia for walking, cycling, and driving. And a privilege resolution recognizing and congratulating the champion of the week, Adrian Smith, creator of the Blitz Champs football-themed card game and trailblazer for women of color in sports and gaming. And a privilege resolution honoring the life and legacy of Rich Yankovitz, the legendary public league head coach at Dobbins Technical High School. And a non-privileged resolution for referral confirming the appointment of Rene Garcia Esquire as the city solicitor.
The chair recognizes Councilman Isaiah Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. I'm going to start by agreeing with my colleague and my council member that you look great up there. I just want to take a moment to thank my other young colleague, Councilmember Young, for co-sponsoring a resolution with me around Richard Yankovitz, who unfortunately passed away at the age of 80 on January 19, 2024. His life celebration will be on Monday from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Doubletree Hotel, and I'll make sure I send that information out to everybody. For those who don't know, Coach Yank is a sports legend here in the city of Philadelphia, most notably known for his 30-plus years, I actually want to say 40-plus years of coaching at Dobbins High School, multiple sports, mentored a lot of young men coming out of the city of Philadelphia, and also paved the way for coaches like myself to be in the position to lead. So my thoughts and prayers go out to his family as the entire sports scene mourns, as well as the Dobbins family mourns the loss of Coach Yank. I also want to take a moment to recognize the great work that Blitz Champ is doing. Unfortunately, the Eagles are not in the playoffs anymore, but we can still celebrate the Eagles based on the work that Adrian has done. She's here in City Council with us today. She's a professional football player, and the Blitz Champs cards that we've given to every member of City Council is an example of a model that she's created to help teach young people how to learn mathematics, how to improve their social skills, and how to work together with one another while simultaneously playing cards that's related to football at the same time. So Adrian is here. If you could stand up so we can give you a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for coming to Philadelphia. And more importantly, let's continue to uplift women in sports and athletics. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. The following bills that were recently read, the bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The privilege resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar, and the non-privilege resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for the consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 5 bills, 4 resolutions, and I'd like to be recognized to speak on 2 of them.
Will the clerk read the titles of the bills and resolutions?
An ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Ainsley Street and Valk Street and Conrad Street, Calumet Street and Dobson Street. And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Gross Street and Arch Street, Dewey Street and Market Street, Arch Street to North 57th Street, North 61st Street between Arch Street and Ray Street, North 57th Street and Market Street. and an ordinance amending Chapter 95900 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Prohibition on Certain Gambling Machines and Skills Games to add additional prohibitions and provide for remedies. And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Pekin Street and Green Lane and Markle Street, Umbria Street and Lamont Street, Manayunk Avenue to Hermit Street, Seville Street and Terrace Street, Salineck Street and Pekin Street, Rector Street and Pekin Street, Fountain Street and Smick Street. And an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Queen Lane, Wissahickon Avenue, Roosevelt Boulevard Extended, and Henry Avenue, and to amend Section 14524 of the Philadelphia Code entitled FDO 4th District Overlay District and make related changes. And a privilege resolution honoring Jerry Jordan, President of the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, on the occasion of his retirement. And a privilege resolution honoring the life and legacy of activist and change maker Paula Peebles, the Philadelphia chairwoman of the National Action Network. And a privilege resolution honoring Philadelphia's living legends, Brian Pollitt, William Dade, Owen Goins III, Theodore Hicks, Carl Riley, Gabriel Hart, and Catherine Hicks for their generation-defining contributions to African American history in Philadelphia. And a non-privileged resolution calling on the leadership of the City of Philadelphia to implement the over 140 recommendations and next steps found in the Blueprint for a Safer Philadelphia, such as expanding the Safe School Corridor program, ensuring witness relocation, creating a helping hand release program, examining firearm restrictions, reducing retail theft, examining drones, increasing the closure rate of homicides, supporting Philadelphia's youth, and instituting the Promise Initiative.
The chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to speak to one of the bills and the resolution dealing with the Crime Summit recommendations. First, I want to thank my colleagues because there are no real original ideas. They're only using them in a codified manner to be able to use as an instructionary tool to reduce crime in Philadelphia. So I thank you. Most prevalent this day is the Kensington Marshall Plan, adopted by the Kensington Caucus, of which I am an honorary member of. And the reason I say that is already that recommendation is being embraced by the administration. The police commissioner announced his appointment in Kensington at the school where we had our hearings about that. So some of these recommendations are already being utilized. One of the recommendations, and I want all of us in our particular chairmanships, vice chairmanships, to look at this and see how these recommendations in education and other places deal with the school-to-prison pipeline, to create a school-to-paycheck pipeline, and so that we embrace this as an instruction guide throughout our budget process, Mr. President. This bill also has a recommendation that deals with terrain tracing of crimes. And what that means is it's not who pulled the trigger only, it is where the trigger was pulled, which addresses the bill that I put in for gambling machines today, Mr. President. I thank my 10 co-sponsors on this bill because I understand clearly that there is a strong lobbying presence to stop this. And the reason that is because right now they don't pay taxes. Right now we don't know where they are. Right now there are no payout regulations that govern them. So the money you put in, you don't know whether there's a ratio similar to where our legal casinos are. They don't have to abide by any of those rules. They snuck in on a provision that said that bus and train rest stops along the expressway could have these machines. They took it a step further and put them in our community. So I understand, my colleagues, and appreciate the pressures that are put on you. But we're not here, we aren't elected for them. We're elected for the people. And as Member Brooks would say, I ain't come here to make friends. I came here to make a difference. And thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. The following bills that were read will be referred to the appropriate committee. The following privileged resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar, and the following read non-privileged resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Rue Landau.
Good morning, Council President and colleagues. So great to be here. So great to see you up there. I am introducing today 2 privilege resolutions and 1 privilege resolution on your behalf.
Will the clerk please read the titles of the resolutions?
On behalf of Council President Johnson, a non-privileged resolution authorizing the appointment of a Chief Ethics Officer for the Council of the City of Philadelphia. And on her own behalf, Councilmember Landau offers a privileged resolution authorizing the City Council Committee on Technology and Information Services to hold hearings examining data to most effectively implement place-based strategies and appropriate technologies to reduce violence through the targeted investment of resources, services, and environmental improvements. And a privileged resolution honoring and congratulating the Philadelphia restaurants and chefs named as semifinalists for the 2024 James Beard Awards.
Thank you very much. The following read privileged resolutions will be placed on today's final passage calendar, and the following read non-privileged resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Ketsi Lazada.
Thank you, Council. Today I offer 5 bills and 1 privilege resolution.
Will the clerk please read the title of the bills and resolutions?
An ordinance amending Chapter 9600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Service and Other Businesses by adding a new section regulating the hours of operation of certain establishments and providing for penalties within an area bounded by East Lehigh Avenue, Kensington Avenue, D Street, East Tioga Street, and Frankfurt Avenue. And an ordinance amending Title IX of the Philadelphia Code by amending Section 9203 relating to street vendors by prohibiting street vending in the 54th Ward. And an ordinance adding a new Chapter 1600 to the Philadelphia Code entitled City Reports and Opioid Antidote Use to require certain reports from the Office of the Managing Director to Council concerning the city's use of opioid antidote. And an ordinance amending Chapter 11708 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Traffic Calming Measures for Schools by authorizing the Department of Streets to additionally install traffic calming measures in the vicinity of recreation centers, playgrounds, parks, and libraries. And an ordinance adding a new Chapter 102700 to the Philadelphia Code entitled City Reports on Impermissible Camping to require certain reports from the Office of the Managing Director to Council concerning camping activities carried out in violation of the code and the city's efforts to address such activities. And a privileged resolution congratulating Captain Pedro R. Rosario for his promotion to Deputy Commissioner as the first Latino officer to hold the position in the 226-year history of law enforcement in the city of Philadelphia.
The following bills read will be referred to the appropriate committee, and the following privileged resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer 1 privileged resolution this morning.
Will the clerk read the title of the resolution?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development to hold hearings regarding the Abandoned and Blighted Property Conservatorship Act of Pennsylvania.
The following non-privileged resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration of the next session of council. The clerk recognizes Councilman Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Minority Leader Brooks, I have one bill and would like to be recognized to speak on that bill.
Will the clerk read the title of the bill?
An ordinance amending Title IX of the Philadelphia Code entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions by providing for the licensing of persons responsible for performing tenant evictions at residential properties.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Council President. Today, on behalf of Minority Leader Brooks, and along with my colleagues, Council Members Gaultier and Landau, I'm introducing the Angel Davis Eviction Accountability Bill. This bill is named for Angel Davis, the Philadelphia woman who was shot last March by a private contractor of the Landlord-Tenant Office, or LTO. The bill is designed to bring much-needed oversight and accountability to a dangerous for-profit operation that led to 3 shootings in the span of 4 months last year. At our hearing on the Landlord-Tenant Office last summer, what was learned were 2 things. 1, the LTO has a disturbing lack of oversight and standards, especially compared to the Sheriff's Office and other municipalities like New York and Pittsburgh. The people, 2, most impacted by the LTO's operations are Philadelphia's most vulnerable renters, seniors, people with disabilities, single mothers and children. City Council has a responsibility to protect Philadelphians from such a reckless and dangerous system. Removing someone from their home is a grave public function and one that demands public input and oversight. This legislation, for the first time, requires a city license and standards for those who do evictions in our city. Although council is limited in the action we can take because of state preemption, we can't and should not accept the dangerous, out-of-control status quo that we have here. And this bill is a powerful tool to bring more accountability to our eviction system. So thank you to my colleagues who attended our hearing or signed on to our statement calling for greater public accountability for evictions. Thank you also to our co-sponsors, Councilman Thomas, Councilman Driscoll, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Ahmed, Councilman Phillips, Councilman Young. I look forward to working with the entirety of the council to curtail the violence that has already impacted far too many Philadelphian renters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilman Jim Harity.
No bills or resolutions. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. The chair recognizes Councilman Mike Driscoll.
Good morning, Mr. President. Today I offer one bill on your behalf for consideration.
The clerk will read the title of the bill. One second, as a matter of personal privilege, I'd like to acknowledge Councilwoman Jamie Gaudier.
Thank you, Council President. I was wanting to speak on the bill that Councilmember O'Rourke introduced.
The floor is yours.
Evictions carried out by the landlord-tenant officer and her civilian subcontractors follow a harmful formula that traumatizes our neighbors and leaves them without life-saving resources when they need them the most. There is no written contract between the municipal court and the landlord-tenant officer. There is no public bidding process, no written standard for how to perform evictions, no direct notice to tenants about when an eviction will occur, no resources provided to tenants during an eviction, no accountability to Philadelphians, and no government oversight. It was within this context that the landlord-tenant officer's civilian subcontractors shot Angel Davis and Letice Bethia within a matter of months. Yesterday, in this very room, Angel Davis, who might never fully recover from being shot in the head, raised her head high and shared why she believes that we need to take immediate action to restore accountability over a public function that operates recklessly and opaquely. I agree. That's why today, as both the chair of City Council's Housing Committee and a tenant myself, I'm proud to co-introduce the Angel Davis Eviction Accountability Bill. The Angel Davis Eviction Accountability Bill requires all civilians conducting evictions to obtain a license from the City of Philadelphia. City Council already mandates licenses for many types of businesses to keep Philadelphians safe. Requiring private contractors who perform lockouts to similarly receive a license from the city will bring accountability to a public function that operates dangerously and without oversight. Through its licensing requirements, the Angel Davis Eviction Accountability Bill brings the landlord-tenant officer in line with other entities that conduct lockouts in the state of Pennsylvania. Subcontractors will need to complete 184 hours of basic eviction officer training in the safe use of firearms, crisis intervention, cultural diversity, and de-escalation. Licensees must also participate in 5 hours of dangerous dog training provided by the Pennsylvania Academy for Animal Care and Control, and 29 hours of annual continued education. After completing training and obtaining their license, the Angel Davis Eviction Bill requires subcontractors to carry proof of insurance and visibly display their license while conducting evictions. And subcontractors involved in an incident of violence or use of force during an eviction will be unable to renew their license for a year, incentivizing them to summon law enforcement when a lockout becomes argumentative. Setting standards in these areas promotes the safety and well-being of everyone involved with an eviction. It builds public trust in our businesses and in our government. And it sends a powerful message to tenants across Philadelphia that City Council will not sit on our hands and let a dangerous, unregulated, and unaccountable eviction process continue. I want to thank Minority Leader Kendra Brooks for her wonderful leadership on this issue, as well as my fellow co-introducers of this legislation. And I want to thank also the majority of our colleagues for co-sponsoring the legislation as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Will the clerk please read the bill sponsored by myself and introduced on behalf of Councilmember Mike Driscoll?
An ordinance adopting an amendment to Section 5 of the Articles of Incorporation of the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development by increasing the authority's term of existence to a date 50 years from the date of approval of Articles of Amendment by the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilman Brian O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer one privilege resolution.
Will the clerk please read the title of the resolution?
A non-privileged resolution renaming the 1,900 block of Kirby Drive, Tony Caruso Way.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The clerk recognizes Councilman Mark Squilla.
Good morning, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
The chair now recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer 4 bills and 2 resolutions, one on your behalf.
The clerk will read the titles of the bills and resolutions.
An ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning. And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Gravers Lane and Millman Street. And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Rockland Street and North 2nd Street. Lawrence Street and Rockland Street, Ruscombe Street and North 2nd Street, Ashdale Street to North 3rd Street, and an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 2700 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Permit Parking Districts by amending the boundaries for certain permit parking districts. And on behalf of Council President Johnson, a non-privileged resolution authorizing requests to the Law Department to represent City Council in appeals from decisions of the Philadelphia Zoning Board of Adjustment, and if the Law Department declines to render such services to City Council, authorizing the retention of outside counsel to provide such services, and a non-privileged resolution renaming the 2900 block of North 22nd Street Ray Murphy Way.
The bills just read will be referred to the appropriate committee, and the resolutions, the non-privileged resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for the consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes now Councilmember Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Council President. I offer one privileged resolution.
The clerk will read the titles of the resolution.
A privileged resolution recognizing January 2024 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the City of Philadelphia.
This privileged resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. Reports from committees. There are being no reports from committees today. The next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. As there are no bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Majority Leader Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for the purpose of calling up resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar.
President, the following resolution is being called up from the second reading and final passage calendar today. Resolution number 240001.
Thank you. Before considering this resolution, we will consider public comment as follows. Your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendars for possible action at today's council session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you have not already signed up for today's session, please do so now by giving your name to Ms. Hassan at the table outside the rails to my left. Once you have signed up, you will be called in the order in which your name appears on a sign-up sheet. Under ideal circumstances, public commenters will each have 3 minutes to speak. However, this time limit may vary from session to session. Today, the time limit will be 3 minutes. In order to be fair to all those wishing to speak, I intend to hold faithfully to the 3-minute limit. When you begin speaking, you will see a green light on the podium. When there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, the light will turn yellow, which is your reminder to conclude your remarks. Once the 3 minutes have passed, the light will turn red and the sergeant at arms will disconnect the microphone. At that point, please yield the podium to the next speaker if you have not done so already. I also reserve the right, pursuant to our rules of council, to limit repetitious comments on the same matter. I would now ask the chief clerk to please read the name of our first speaker.
The first speaker today, Mr. President, is Dr. Kathy Bennett Santos.
Ms. Santos, please come to the microphone and give your comments.
Dr. Kathy Bennett Santos. The next speaker, Mr. President, is Anissa George. Commenting on 240001.
Good morning, members of the council. My name is Anissa George. I live in South Philly. I oppose Bill 240001 on the grounds that it is it off, public comment to bills on the agenda, which inhibits the public to speaking to issues that the council influences and controls, such as the clear cutting of 150 acres on the west side of FDR Park to make way for 16 athletic courts worth of toxic plastic grass. It is toxic. I'd like to quote Kyla Bennett, the scientist who discovered PFAS in 2019. I spoke to her last week. Quote, "There is no PFAS-free turf. That is a lie. They're going to contaminate everything there with PFAS and microplastics. You need to call the DEP immediately." So, Council President, I understand that you're holding a Pro Fields rally in the space where the trees will be cut on Saturday. If you have seen an independent lab report to verify the Conservancy's claims that this turf that they are going to install is toxin-free, I think the people of Philadelphia would like to see that report. And I think if that lab report does not exist, thank you, then the people of Philadelphia deserve to know that there has been some false advertising around this turf. I'm a mom. I care deeply about kids having a space to play in this city. This is not the way to support our young people, just like putting lead paint and asbestos in their schools was not a way to support them. The difference is that when we painted those walls with lead paint, we didn't know what we were doing. But PFAS, these toxic forever chemicals, were discovered in turf in 2019. It's 2024. California has banned it. Boston has banned it. Even the NFL Players Association is calling for its removal based on elevated injury. So this is bad stuff. This is toxic stuff, and it should not be our legacy. None of the FDR plan has ever been discussed before City Council. There has been no hearing called. I would like to know how a privately funded non-governmental entity like the Conservancy clear cuts 150 acres of public space without a mandate from the public. It is shameful, it is undemocratic, and it is in violation of the Sunshine Act. Mayor Parker has just promised to make this the greenest city in the nation. Council members, do you support that vision? Do you? Do you have children whose health you care for? Then it is time to press pause on the plan for FDR. Thank you.
Thank you. I will ask the clerk to please read the name of our next speaker.
Our next speaker is Judith Robinson.
Queen Judith, that is.
Reference it. So I was trying to, my name is Judith Robinson, good morning, and Queen Judith Robinson, and for the record, I was going to pass around an article that's within the Scoop magazine, January 6th, especially to the African American representatives, and I hope you get it soon, and please read it since I was not able to get here earlier. But I want to say good morning and happy New Year to all. All the best in 2024. Welcome to all of the new representatives, and welcome back to all those who are back. Your discussion today is on government and rules and regulations, and I will say govern yourselves accordingly. Based on this article referencing the Black Political Forum, some of you are a little young, you all went young, so under 50 years old, but you need to get your researchers here in this body to get a copy of this article and then refer back to the Black Political Forum. I'm going to say John White Jr. said, okay, and you all need to open your ears. So I want to bring you all back to, I wish I could play Jay-Z. I just want to send you a reminder. Black women are 70% of Philadelphia yearly evictions. And I heard some reference about how they are evicted, which is horrible, with their black children being traumatized. In addition, I want to remind you all that you have MV Realty to deal with. Over 1,000 homeowners are scammed out of their equity in their homes with a contract, a listing contract of sorts. That's very strange, and for me as a real estate broker to even call it that. But it was a document that was able to be recorded in our City Hall Records Department, which holds them under hostage for the next 40 years. A lot of real estate scams going on. I'm going to say you all are real youthful in this body, and I'm going to say get some respect on your names. I already have had a great relationship with some of you, and I have a little selfie with Reverend O'Rourke. Thank you very much. So I'm getting to know the young ones too, all right? So get ready. So, and then Rue Landau, an attorney, and someone who over the years understood when I came to her and asked about changing communities. She was able to help us out in that regard. I'll be back out, Rue, okay, to see what else we can do together. So it's about representation. So since you all are a younger body, and the gentleman just walked past who I'm going to reference, you all don't have the experience, so you need to go and get the experience. And I'm going to tell you to cross the aisle, because I know good and well that I should be represented by my representative in zoning with a $32 million police station being proposed on Philadelphia's first historic corridor, Diamond Street. That's history right there, y'all. We want a traffic study, a parking study, an environmental study as quickly as possible. Councilman Brian O'Neill is who I want to reference. I saw him in a zoning hearing representing his district. Go talk to him about how you can represent 5th District. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Did they get it? Thank you.
Will the clerk please read the name of the next speaker?
Reverend Dr. Gregory Holston.
Matter of personal privilege, the chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a correction of the record. As a teenager, I attended the Black Political Forum. Queen, I was there.
The chief clerk now recognizes next speaker, Reverend Dr. Gregory Holston.
My name is Reverend Gregory Holston, co-facilitator of the 57 Block Coalition. We are thankful for Councilperson Landau's leadership in having a resolution to do an investigation and data collection and find out much more about this coalition that we've been building over the last 18 months. Thank you, Councilman Johnson, Jones, Gaultier, O'Rourke, Thomas, and others here who have been involved in our meetings and our conversations over the last 18 months as we have gone all over the city, over 75 meetings with people all over the city that have helped put together this strategy and this plan to directly look at the 57 plus blocks of 10 or more shootings since 2015. That number is now 89 blocks of that number, and 79 of the 89 are in formerly red-lined areas of the city of Philadelphia, making a direct link between the historic, intentional, racist disinvestment that has happened in this city and others directly related to the gun violence that we're seeing today. That understanding does not go lightly. 10 or more shootings means children on those blocks have seen blood in the street. They've seen bullets come through their house. They've seen friends and family members shot dead. And they're dealing with the trauma of that each and every day of their life. We want to have a real comprehensive way of addressing that trauma, addressing that pain, and addressing this historic disinvestment that is creating the conditions of gun violence. We're thankful for this resolution, thankful for the hearing so we can explore it and come out with a real comprehensive way of addressing it. Very quickly, what did we learn during the pandemic? We learned that when we take investment out of our communities, gun violence shoots through the roof. We learned when we put some investment back, it starts to level off. When we opened our schools, actually you could see the gun violence starting to level off. And when we got $50 million plus from the state, 13.5 million from this city council directed to gun violence prevention organizations, we actually saw the numbers go down, and almost 30% reduction from that point in September, since September 2022. It is because we invested in gun violence organizations, we invested in communities, we invested in regular folk who care deeply about our children. Yes, we can be called the repairers of the breach. Yes, we can be called the ones who can build the old waste foundations. Yes, we can be called like Isaiah and Nehemiah. We can do it in this city, one Philly, together with a new mayor and a new council president. I believe it can happen. Thank you so much.
Would the chief clerk please read the name of our next speaker?
The next speaker is Reuben Jones.
Good morning, everyone. Council, President, congratulations. My name is Reuben Jones. I'm a member of the 57 Blocks Coalition. We've been working on this project for, I guess, the last 2 years, addressing gun violence in Philadelphia based on this hardest hit and highest rate of violence in the community. So I just want to say thank you to Councilperson Landau for introducing this resolution to bring technology into the mix. And if I could use a football analogy, Bill Parcells years ago said that if you want me to cook the dinner, then let me buy the groceries, right? So he's talking about the players that he was going to be responsible for coaching. So while I applaud this city council specifically for creating grants to empower community organizations who's doing this work in the city to save lives, I also want to just challenge us to let those same community groups buy the groceries. But I mean, we need every tool possible in our toolkit to reduce and address gun violence in Philadelphia, and technology is one of those tools. So I'm going to run down a couple of numbers just to kind of contextualize it for you. So a couple of years ago, I had a conversation with Councilman Jones, who let us know that there are 11 zip codes in this city that are responsible for, what was the number, Councilman Jones, about 80% of the residents on State Road? And I might misquote that number, but it was a small number of zip codes, high number of inmates. If you look at the school closed in the city closed, I believe, was 26 schools. Half of them were in North Philadelphia. They overlap, you know, these 57 block target areas that we're talking about. If we talk about poverty in the city, right, look over the Mansion, the poorest neighborhood in the poorest big city in America, right, sits in the middle of some of those 57 blocks. So when we talk about that there is no surprise in terms of why we see violence the way we see it in this city, the only surprise is that we don't connect the dots. And I think the use of technology, the use of data, the use of research, the use of evidence-based approaches, the use of community-based strategies could certainly enhance the success. Right now, I think we're around a 20% reduction. So we believe that introducing technology and data and research as an additional tool to those communities, to the city, to the police, to the new mayor, to all these entities that are working collectively and collaboratively to save lives and reduce violence in the city, I think this would be a feather in our cap if this resolution were passed. I tip my hat to the supporters of the bill. As a member of 57 Blocks, the 57 Blocks Coalition, I just want to tell you that we deal with this gun violence, got the yellow light, at the ground level, and we see every day the impact of when we don't make those investments, when we don't see what the outcomes could be just for introducing new tools to the mix. So I'm here to just, you know, really support the resolution, ask this honorable body to at least consider it passed so we had that additional tool to put to our use to save lives in Philadelphia. And on behalf of the 57 Blocks Coalition, I thank you for the time and the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to the vote. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I will ask the chief clerk to please read the name of our next speaker.
The next speaker is Lakeisha Anthony. Commenting on a resolution introduced today by Councilmember Ahmad.
Good morning, City Council, community partners, and members. My name is Lakeisha Anthony, and I serve as Ward Senior Manager of Advocacy. January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month nationally, and for us at WAR, the Honorable Judge Lori Dumas, the Salvation Army New Day program at Enon Tabernacle Human Trafficking Ministry, She's My Sister. This is a time and an opportunity for us to highlight the important goal of preventing human trafficking in our communities and supporting the people who we serve who are survivors, and the work that we do all year long. WAR started its anti-human trafficking program because of the growing understanding of the intersectionality between sexual violence and human trafficking. And over time, our commitment to serving victims and survivors of human trafficking has grown to include support groups for adults, individual therapy, counseling, and as-needed case management. But we also understand the importance of prevention efforts to educate and to share knowledge and resources to all individuals, especially young people who are at risk in our city of Philadelphia. We fully support this resolution to declare January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the city of Philadelphia, and we appreciate City Council acknowledging this critical work in supporting victims and survivors who are impacted by exploitation. This resolution serves as a step in the right direction to publicly honor survivors and further bring awareness to the important topic in this great city of Philadelphia. Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery that occurs in every state and every community, including Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of the cities with the highest rates of human trafficking due to our geographical location and intersection between our major highways. Therefore, highlighting this issue is imperative in Philadelphia. If you are a survivor, and if you know a survivor who's impacted by the exploitation, WAR is available, and our hotline is 215-985-3333, or you can contact any of these individuals who are behind me and their organizations as well. Also, all of you can make a difference in human trafficking and preventing by making sure that you donate to our human trafficking drive that is happening during this month. And I thank you for this resolution, and thank you to Nina Ahmad for introducing this on our behalf.
Thank you for having us here, Council President. Congratulations again.
Thank you
I
very
wanted
much.
to take a moment to expand upon what our sister just shared. This has been a long journey. It was 2010 that New Day started. It was 2011 that Enon started our anti-human trafficking ministry, and it is 2013 where Judge Lori Dumas started Rap Court that is still going on. We keep talking about this issue. Councilman Phillips brought the Children and Youth Caucus to Enon to present and talk about the issue. We keep talking about it, we keep talking about it, we keep talking about it. It's time to do something about it. And I'm grateful that so many of you have been supportive, but also that Councilwoman Ahmed has called us to this moment to address the issue, to highlight Prevention Month, and to bring awareness. We can't keep talking about being aware. We need to begin to do something, and it needs to happen right now.
Thank you very much. Just a small matter of personal privilege. Just want to acknowledge the Honorable Lori Dumas. Thank you for your advocacy around this message. Would a clerk please call up the next speaker?
The next speaker is Lynn Landis, commenting on 240001.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Landis of lynnlandis.com. Congratulations on beginning a new year for Philadelphia City Council. Taking your oath of office and representing the public is serious business, which is why it's important for City Council members to be aware that under this Resolution 24001, Rules for the Government, that the City Council itself and its committees are in blatant violation of the Sunshine Act by limiting public comment to agenda items only. This rule constitutes an explicit censorship of the public to only those bills and resolutions which have been proposed by council members themselves. In addition, some City Council committees, which also have the same restrictions, do not meet on a regular or monthly basis, thereby denying the public the right to comment before the committees in a timely manner. In addition, many city departments and commissions, such as Parks and Recreation, have never had a public meeting in their remembered history, so that what they have are show and tells, warm and fuzzy community events that they control. Also, as city government officials, you have a sworn duty to uphold the laws of the land. Yet today in Philadelphia, local laws are being routinely violated, particularly under Title 10, prohibited and disorderly conduct, as all too often the police refuse to issue civil violation notices or make arrests. The district attorney also refuses to prosecute. So businesses and residents suffer needless crime and harassment. Again, congratulations, City Council members, on the beginning of a new year. And please remember that you took an oath to uphold the Constitution and the local, state, and federal laws of the land. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the chief clerk please call the next person for public comment?
The next speaker is G. Emil Reuter.
Mr. President, council members, my council person, Mr. Phillips. I am a poet from Lawndale. My name is G. Emil Reuter. Philadelphia. I dream of my city of Philadelphia, of the time when peace will come to its streets. I see the people of this city, a city I love, in white, black, yellow, tan, and brown. I celebrate the people of my city, the good people who love their families, aspire to the same goals of peace, comfort, love. This is not an easy city, a city named for love. We have overcome resistance through centuries, for this is a city of immigrants, blending in over time, who chart their own course, strengthen neighborhoods as their culture becomes part of the fabric of the city I love. And in this city I dream of, this city that I love. I'm a realist, know of the hard scrabble neighborhoods, have walked its tough streets, survived a few fights here and there, and yet in every neighborhood there is hope and love and people who dream as I do of a time when peace will come to its streets. I have sung my poems. I have sung to the end of violence. I have sung of its beauty. I have sung of its people. And I sing now for my city, my Philadelphia. I sing to the people of Philadelphia, from Broad and Glenwood, 68th and Woodbine, Rawn and Oxford, Cottman and Frankfurt, Benner and Torresdale, 10th and Washington, 70th and Woodland, 52nd and Lancaster, Ridge and Ripka. From all the streets of this city, I sing of my dream, that peace will come to our streets. I raise my hands to the sky, sing my poems, and I have hope for Philadelphia.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the name of our next speaker?
Adrian Smith.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Smith. Thank you, Council President Johnson and Councilman Thomas. Thank you so much for the honor of being Champion of the Week. As a little girl, I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia, so not too far from here. And I remember in elementary school, we came to Philadelphia. So this is a full circle moment for me to be standing in front of all of you. Also, with the name Adrian, I can't think of any other city where I would be more welcome. Both of my parents were teachers, so education was very, very important and very revered in my household. I invented the Blitz Champs football card game as a way to spread the joy of football, but also to teach mathematics and strategic thinking skills for children. I'm honored that Councilman Thomas has chosen me as Champion of the Week, and I will continue to work hard to bring Blitz Champs workshops to elementary and middle school students, not only in Philadelphia, but throughout the United States. We all know that reading is fundamental, but I also want to propose that mathematics is paramount. Lastly, as a diehard 49ers fan, I'm still feeling...
Pause.
I'm still feeling some kind of way with respect to the beatdown that you gave us in the NFC Championship last year. So I'm a little surprised that I am going to even say this, but once again, Council President Johnson, Councilman Thomas, all of the council members, thank you so much for honoring me as Champion of the Week, and fly, Eagles, fly.
Hey. Hey. Will the chief clerk please read the name of our next speaker?
The next speaker is Jovita Mill. Jovita Mill Hill.
Jovita Hill.
Good morning, Council President. I can't tell you how good it feels to say thank you, Mr. President.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you all of Council. I am Jovita Hill, and I am the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Commission for Women. When we are at full capacity, we are comprised of 10 people appointed by the mayor, and each of 17 council members appoints a person for a commission of 27 people committed to working to improve social, education, economic, and health outcomes for women, girls, people who identify as women, including non-binary individuals, and foremost, support equitable initiatives for women to bring us to full equality. We embrace a collective impact model of advancing social justice initiatives. And so thank you for this opportunity to express our appreciation, and in particular to Councilmember Ahmad, to stand here in solidarity, recognizing January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Human trafficking, or modern-day slavery, causes significant and lifelong physical and mental costs to its victims. Victims of human trafficking can be divided in 3 categories. They are children under the age of 18, induced into commercial sex, adults induced into commercial sex through force, fraud, coercion, and children and adults induced to perform labor or services through force, fraud, or coercion. Prevention has to be a priority. And make no mistake, while human trafficking is a global issue, it's happening right here in our city and the surrounding suburbs, and in many cases, these victims are homeless teenagers. Since 2017, the Philadelphia Commission for Women has joined individuals and organizations to call attention, especially during the month of January, to Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Since 2018, we have partnered with WAR, Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence, for a personal care collection drive, and you can drop off your donations at room 577 between now and the end of the month. We recognize the important work of the She Is My Sister ministry of Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church and its founder and leader, Dr. Ellen Jo Waller, who has been doing this work since 2005. And the 24/7, 365 life-saving outreach of the Salvation Army's New Day ministry. I propose a challenge to all of us to collectively roll up our sleeves. It is critical to use data-driven methods to identify at-risk populations, provide continued and increased funding for services and resources for already identified victims, and invest in programming to reduce vulnerability and improve resiliency. Let's work together to eradicate this blemish on our humanity. And before I leave, I want to remind all of you council members that you're new council members and you get to appoint somebody on the Commission for Women, and you will all be hearing from me for your appointments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will the chief clerk please call the next speaker?
Ogbonna Higgins.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Obona Hagins, and I was told I had to speak on this resolution to provide rules for government. Of course, rules are necessary for everything. It's laws are necessary for everything. But what good are the rules and the laws if you don't follow the rules and the laws? Lemon laws are laws that provide a remedy for purchasers of cars and other consumer goods to compensate for products that repeatedly fail to meet standards of quality and performance. We need the same laws for voters who elect people who repeatedly fail to deliver solutions to long-standing problems. Here's a case in point. The city of Philadelphia stated in its 2021 Roadmap to Safer Communities, which is a comprehensive study of Philly gun violence, and it states, and I quote, "Structural racism and inequality are at the root of gun violence. Unemployment, poverty, under-resourced schools, and the lack of educational attainment remain drivers of violence. In addition to targeted interventions, we must continue to harness the city's large-scale investment in education and health and stay committed to reducing unnecessary and disproportionate contact with the justice system and incarceration for the Black and brown Philadelphians to address the root causes of gun violence. This is how to prevent further violence." This is what's on page 3 in that report. Can someone please direct me to the large-scale appropriations that address structural racism, poverty, and unemployment in this city? There's a reason why there will be zero investment in this said area. Philadelphia 2035 is the official vision for the future of the city of Philadelphia. And very simply put, Afro-Americans are not in that plan. So I suggest that you revisit that 2035 plan to include specifically the American freedmen, the Afro-Americans, which data states that by 2053, we'll be at zero wealth. What are you doing about that, City Council? What are you doing? So that's it. You guys have a great day. Welcome to the new council members. But, you know, I really hope that you don't follow the standards of the previous administrations that, as we look around the city, have failed Afro-Americans. Have a great day.
Thank you for your comment. This concludes today's public comment period. 3 more? Not at the moment. We will now ask the chief clerk to please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Angela Reese.
Angela Reese. Okay.
If Angela isn't here, oh, she's here, okay. Let's go, Angela.
Okay, start by stating your name for the record.
My name is Angela, the Survivor Diva Reese, and I am here to speak on the cervical Health Awareness Month resolution. Good morning, Council President, council members, and citizens, all in attendance. I am a victorious and blessed 15-year survivor of metastatic carcinoma of the cervix. I was paralyzed from the waist down for 8 years from side effects of cervical cancer treatments. I give leadership to the Pennsylvania National Cervical Cancer Coalition. I am the editor and publisher of the SurvivorDiva.com digital media resource for cervical cancer awareness and disability inclusion excellence advocacy. I am an active member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Pennsylvania chapter, and I'm serving on the Health Committee in that organization. Thank you, Councilwoman, thank you, Councilwoman Lozada and Councilwoman Catherine Gilmore Richardson, and all others that are listed on the resolution. I'm speaking on behalf of cervical cancer survivors such as myself, advocates and supporters. My concerns since the last time that I actually gave public comment here at City Council they continue to be about one, stigma, attitudinal barriers, resources and access in regards to preventative vaccination, screening, and effective treatment of precancerous conditions. I really just don't want anybody else to have to go through all that I have gone through and that I have suffered through in all these years. I've endured a lot, and it doesn't have to be, because cervical cancer is a preventable disease. I hope that all of you do vote for the Cervical Health Awareness Month resolution and keep the conversation going, not only in January, but also all year round. Please visit the SurvivorDiva.com, my website, or ncc-online.org for more information about cervical cancer. And our chapters, we also had proclamations across the country, and so I'm glad that we're doing this on a local level here in Philadelphia to bring awareness to this issue. And please remember that teal and white is the new pink. Those are the colors for cervical cancer awareness, and I thank you for your time. God bless you all.
Thank you.
The final speaker is Lindsay Franklin. Commenting on Councilmember Young's Act 135 resolution.
Hi. You have 3 minutes. State your name for the record, okay? Let's start now.
My name is Lindsay Franklin, and I'm here to speak on me and my family's experience with Act 135. I'd first like to thank Councilman Young for introducing a resolution to get a hearing to address Act 135. Act 135, the Abandoned and Blighted Property Act, is being used against me and my family by the Fishtown Bid as I stand here today. 1500 Frankfurt Avenue, right on the Frankfurt corridor. From the moment the Act 135 petition was filed against us, we felt as though we were targeted. From the second this petition was filed against us, we have felt nothing but helpless. My aunt, who had lived in the house, had to go into a rehab after losing the use of her legs. We took care of her as best we could and the home as best we could while she was in there. The utilities were all on, the taxes were paid, and we frequented our house. All of my aunt's belongings were there, as well as all of our family things and stuff that I grew up with. We have been loud and clear since the petition was filed that we have not in any way abandoned our home, but that didn't matter from the second the Act 135 petition was filed. It's time for Act 135 to stop flying under the radar. From the start of this journey, I did a ton of research and started contacting many people to try and get help. Most people I spoke to had no idea that it even existed. I knew more than most. And the ones that did know about it said, "I'm sorry you're going through this, but we cannot help you because of the way Act 135 was written. Our hands were tied. This is the most stressful thing we have ever experienced. My day begins and ends with all of it. My aunt could do nothing but cry and say that they were taking her home at the first hearing, and she wanted to go home very badly. She passed away December 23rd. The last 8 months of her life were overwhelmed with the stress of this. The last conversation I had with her before she passed, she was defeated. She couldn't stop crying and begged me to get the things out of the home before they took it. Act 135 is a tool being used in a destructive method. Its use needs to be turned back into something that is productive for communities, something that can help support housing equality. Act 135 has a role to play with respect to improving communities all across Philadelphia. We cannot continue to allow it to be wielded in such a predatory, self-serving manner. There are people suffering at the hands of this just as we are now. It's being exploited in the pursuits of redevelopment in lower and middle-class neighborhoods. In a University of Penn study, they state that Act 135 petitions are disproportionately filed in communities vulnerable to or actively experiencing gentrification. An amendment to Act 135 in 2014 made its use increase significantly. A 20% conservatorship fee and all other fees are laid at the hands of the owner of the property. So not only were we forced to get a lawyer on contingency, but the second the petition was filed, we had to pay everything else that we did not accumulate ourselves. Changes must be made to protect vulnerable people in times of need. Any entity or person using Act 135 against people who are suffering should be ashamed of themselves. No one who is trying their best in hard times should be put through something like this because they struggle or are at a disadvantage. And unfortunately, my family and I know this firsthand. I just hope that changes can be made to Act 135 so that it can become beneficial in its use. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the public comment. We will now consider the resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendars. The clerk will please read the title of the resolution.
Resolution number 240001, entitled a resolution to provide rules for the government of the Council of the City of Philadelphia.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Gaudier for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I call for the adoption of the resolution.
Personal privilege.
The chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones.
I raise that not to be rude, but to point out that in our rules, there is no such thing as point of personal privilege. And what I'd like us to consider is adopting a measure that does that, because we have, those of us who have been here before, have used that kind of as a rude way of jumping in front of each other. And what I'd like to hopefully avoid during the budget process is us actually doing that to each other. I've been guilty of it, Mr. President. And if we do and adopt that in a way, we can move faster some of the budget process. And I appreciate us kind of either saying what it really means and where it is in the rules, or get us to stop doing it. The second, and that's what I would have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I would recommend you have a conversation with the majority leader after, and y'all can consult as we establish the rules for City Council. Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilman Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you so much, Council President, and I appreciate that point, and I look forward to working with Councilmember Jones. Mr. President, I just wanted to note that points of order are listed in Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure under 150-2, 230 to 236. We are governed by the rules of council, but also Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure. With that, I call for the orders of the day, and I call for the previous question. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jamie Gaudier for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I call for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution may be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. This bill having been read, excuse me. The clerk will please read any additional resolutions on the calendar today.
A resolution recognizing January 22 through 26, 2024 as National Gun Violence Survivors Week in honor of survivors of gun violence and the lifelong burdens they carry, introduced by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson on behalf of Council President Johnson.
The chair recognizes Majority Leader Councilman Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I call for the adoption.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the African American Children's Book Project on the occasion of its 32nd annual African American Children's Book Fair, introduced today by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing January as Cervical Cancer Awareness Month and commending the Pennsylvania National Cervical Cancer Coalition, Northwest Philadelphia Chapter leader, Angela, the survivor Diva Reese, for her work promoting awareness about cervical cancer, introduced today by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Again, the chair recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Angela, the survivor Diva Reese, I call for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Finance to investigate the operations and significant overspending of the Office of Homeless Services under the previous administration, as well as quality of services provided in homeless services system, introduced today by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
The chair recognizes Majority Leader Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to hold hearings concerning the practice of leveling and its impact on students and teachers in the School District of Philadelphia, especially following the learning loss caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, introduced today by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
The chair recognizes Majority Leader Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development to conduct a hearing on the City of Philadelphia's capacity to prepare individuals of all educational backgrounds for careers in the growing life sciences industry, with a focus on the cell and gene therapy subsector. Introduced today by Councilmember Gaudier.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jamie Gaudier.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to investigate the rise in moving violations and traffic deaths since 2020 and explore solutions to create a safer Philadelphia for people walking, cycling, and driving. Introduced today by Councilmember Thomas.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Isaiah Thomas, Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Council President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
All those in signify, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution has been adopted. Also, just want to take a moment to just for the correction for the record. It's Majority Whip, Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. Go ahead, Chief Clerk.
And a resolution recognizing and congratulating the champion of the week, Adrian Smith, creator of the Blitz Champs football-themed card game, and trailblazer for women of color in sports gaming, introduced today by Majority Whip Thomas.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Chief Clerk. Thank you to Adrian for coming to the city of Philadelphia. And council members, please enjoy the cards. It's a phenomenal game. And I enthusiastically move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Rich Yankowitz, the legendary Public League head coach at Dobbins Technical High School, introduced today by Majority Whip Thomas and Councilmember Young.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Thank you, Council President, and also thank you to my colleague, Councilmember Young, and we enthusiastically move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution passes.
And a resolution honoring Jerry Jordan, President of the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, on the occasion of his retirement, introduced today by Councilmember Jones.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jones for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. All of us know the retiring president as a warrior for students and staff alike that has fought for decades for the education of young people in the city of Philadelphia. He will be sorely missed, but we know he's not going far. And so with that, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the life and legacy of legendary activist and change maker Paula Peebles, the Philadelphia chairwoman of the National Action Network, introduced today by Councilmembers Jones and Young.
The chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones.
Thank you again. It's sad that a warrior passes, but she will be known forever by her advocacy for the 5th District and the city of Philadelphia in general. Whether she was a friend or a foe, you knew. Whether she was a friend fighting for you or friendly as a sister chastising you about something she may think we could do better, she would let you know. And she has blessed this chamber on many of occasions, pointing and talking and directing us to do better. And so on behalf of her legacy and my colleague, Member Young, I move for the adoption.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Philadelphia's living legends, Brian Pollitt, William Dade, Owen Gowans III, Theodore Hicks, Carl Riley, Gabriel Hart, and Catherine Hicks for their generation-defining contributions to African American history in Philadelphia. Introduced today by Councilmember Jones.
The chair recognizes Councilman Curtis Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I promise I won't have a speech in majority today because of all of these comments. But during Living Legends, these individuals represent issues. 3 issues in Philadelphia history. The first is in your district where W.E.B. Du Bois did the Philadelphia Negro Study, where back then leaders of the city said Philadelphia was going backwards and to the dogs because of the migration of Negroes from the South. He moved into the 7th Ward and did a study that showed, similar to what was discussed about 57 blocks today, it wasn't the color of the skin, but the prejudice being bestowed upon them that was causing the problem. That is a national and international study. That's number one. Number two, another defining moment was when PTC, Philadelphia Transportation Company, you are too young to know what that is, but it was before SEPTA. 7 trolley drivers were promoted from the ranks of the workforce, and they were denied seats on trolleys in Philadelphia because they were black. There was a 7-day boycott, not by African Americans, but by their white colleagues that said, we are not running this system if you promote them. This was a turning point for the city of Philadelphia, which now with TWU, you can see that we are a major part of SEPTA, represented by Member Bass's sister. The third one was the integration of Girard College, when there was protest and to integrate that college. There are thousands of young Philadelphians that benefited from that exclusive then education. And what we are working with is the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission to have almost a TED Talk about those 3 issues and during Black History Month, and I look forward to council participation in it. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're going to move for the adoption of the resolution, sir?
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the City Council Committee on Technology and Information Services to hold hearings examining data to most effectively implement place-based strategies and appropriate technologies to reduce violence through the targeted investment of resources, services, and environmental improvements. Introduced today by Councilmember Landau.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Ruth Landau.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating the Philadelphia restaurants and chefs named as semifinalists for the 2004 James Beard Awards. Introduced today by Councilmember Landau.
Thank you again.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Ruth Landau.
I move for the adoption of the resolution. Thank you.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution congratulating Captain Pedro R. Rosario for his promotion to Deputy Commissioner as the first Latino officer to hold the position in the 226-year history of law enforcement in the city of Philadelphia. Introduced today by Council Member Lozada.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Lozada for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. Before I call for the motion, I just want to recognize Pedro Rosario and the work and his commitment to the community in East Division. Pedro has served over 27 years in the police department, and most of that time has been served in East Division, which encompasses the 24th, 25th, and 26th police districts, which have been identified as an area that has some of the highest numbers of crime. And so for someone to spend most of their career in that area says a lot about who they are as an individual and their commitment to public service. And so with that, I'd like to call for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution is adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development to hold hearings regarding the Abandoned and Blighted Property Conservatorship Act of Pennsylvania. Introduced today by Councilmember Young.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing January 2024 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the city of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilmember Ahmad.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Mr. President. Human trafficking, a heinous human rights violation, is defined as the trade of human beings for the purpose of forced labor, sexual slavery, or involuntary prostitution, ranks third behind drugs and weapons among the most lucrative illicit international business industries. This is of great interest to me as a mother of 2 girls. And I want to really talk about the fact that we have very little data around this issue. A more comprehensive data collection and analysis system would enable the Philadelphia Police Department and its federal and state law enforcement partners to better understand, confront, and prevent human trafficking in Philadelphia, and would go a long way toward an efficient allocation of resources to those most in need. I want to applaud the work of the individuals, and you heard from some of them today, who are shining a light on this chronic issue, like my friend, First Lady Dr. Ellen Jo Waller of Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, for her work in this space via her renowned She's My Sister ministry, the Commonwealth Court Judge, Lori Dumas, who, while in Common Pleas Court, started the RAP Court, which is working to restore adolescents' power to prevent further victimization and harm to these individuals. I want to make sure we also acknowledge other commendable anti-trafficking work that takes place under the auspices of Philadelphia Anti-Trafficking Coalition, which is spearheaded by the Covenant House and includes Nationality Service Center, the Salvation Army, Dawn's Place, and Enon Baptist Church, as I mentioned. I also want to commend Javita Hill, who's the Executive Director of the Women's Commission, Philadelphia Commission for Women, for her work and making sure that we are working with WAR, who also spoke here today about collecting resources for survivors. I want to thank you, Council President, and I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
That completes our calendar for today.
A privileged resolution.
The chair recognizes Councilman Brian O'Neill.
If we can find it, I would move the adoption.
The chair recognizes Councilman Brian O'Neill, who will make a motion for rule suspension on the resolution.
It's not, I'm naming a street.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
I'll wait till next week. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome, Councilman.
I'm not changing the name of the street. I'm just adding a block of that street, yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you. Before we ask for any speeches on part of the minority as well as any speeches on part of the majority, I just want to take a moment to welcome all the new members of the City Council. Let's give them a round of applause first and foremost. And also welcome back the current members of the City Council. Give them a round of applause as well. I want to also thank my family, supporters, and friends for taking time out of their schedule and coming down here and supporting me as council president during my first session. So I just want to humbly, personally say thank you. Even though the first one is in the books, I want to thank the tech team and staff and all of the surrounding cast that are around me. Give them a round of applause as well. I want to acknowledge the love of my life, the wind beneath my wings, the joy in my soul, the beat in my heart. My wife for taking time out of her busy schedule for being here today. Thank you, love, for being here with me. I appreciate it. At this time, I'm going to ask, are there any speeches on behalf of the minority? I acknowledge Councilman Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, colleagues, general populace, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nicholas O'Rourke. I am a pastor. I have a pastoral charge of the Living Water United Church of Christ in Oxford Circle. I am a community organizer. I have cut my teeth with a group called Power, many of you may be familiar with. I'm an advocate for working people. I'm also the second now working families elected official in this body. Which means that I am an independent. So I come to the city council without tethers to a party machine. I'm able to work on behalf of Philadelphians, end of sentence. As a working families elected, it also means that we are continuing to build durable, non-delusional, accessible political power for the multiracial working class and working poor of this city. I'm doing so following the leadership of my leader, who unfortunately is not with us today, but is with us in spirit, the minority leader, Kendra Brooks. And in that spirit, in that context, I am willing to work and actually look forward to working with all who stand with our progressive values. But I will never be confused about who I work for. To be clear, that is the beautiful working people of Philadelphia. I want to extend some gratitude for the folks who helped me during the campaign and the election. Volunteers and working people who believed in the campaign, who saw through lies that were shed, and supported us towards victory. I want to express gratitude for Leader Brooks and her office for paving the way these last 4 years, probably arguably the toughest 4 years that many council persons have experienced, as well as the warm welcome that her team continues to show our team in helping us get onboarded. I want to express gratitude for my family, my friends, my beloved, my wife who surprised me to hop up in this upper canopy of this morning, this up here in the balcony today, as well as my God. Amen. She's worthy of a hand clap. During my term, our office will endeavor to govern with care and with common sense. What does that mean to me? It means I'll mobilize my power and our team to fight poverty, to help people, and to protect the places in which we live. When I say fight poverty, I mean that we continue to be the poorest big city in the USA. But poverty is much more than just a statistic that we repeat on the campaign trail or in this chamber. This reflects thousands of Philadelphians who are struggling to pay their bills and feed their families because poverty is expensive. Let me be clear. I want to uncomplicate this matter. I want to give people money, and I want that to not be a radical statement. I want to put money in people's pockets and remove barriers to resources that we all need to survive. I want to meet the basic needs that we know we need to live here by putting more cash in more hands. During my term, I will explore opportunities to fight poverty in this city, whether that be expanding free public transit, which helps our working folks actually get to the jobs that put money in their pockets, whether that be working for guaranteed jobs programs that'll benefit returning citizens or young folk who are looking for employment, or whether that be advocating for and finding ways to implement what Dr. King called for in the late 60s, a universal basic income, which cities across the country continue to talk about as essential to working folks coming out of poverty and getting what they need. I also know that Philadelphia is facing a fund balance cliff. We need more money and revenue in our city coffers to eliminate poverty. So we'll work to and push to create creative approaches, rather, to raise money for our city that don't put working people in jeopardy. We'll hold large corporations and institutions that are really moneyed accountable to pay their necessary and fair share to make our city work. Helping people looks like our working people are the lifeblood of Philadelphia. Recognizing that as a fact. They are our recently acknowledged essential workers, the folks who clean our streets, who get our groceries, who drive our buses and our ride shares, who take care of our kids, who work in our homes, who build our homes. As a council member, I look forward and I will look out for working people like they look out for all of us. It is my job to do that. I'll fight for our unions and for workers' rights to unionize. I'll champion worker protections. I'll never cross your picket line, and I will fight for safe working conditions, livable wages, and fair contracts because that's what folks deserve. When our folk are organized, we all win. Our communities are facing many threats: gun violence, intrusive developments, the climate crisis that we see the impacts of our city experiencing. During my term, I'll be dedicated to protecting our community from these serious and existential threats. I'll support investments in ending gun violence in this city by tackling the root causes of violence, poverty, and hopelessness. I'll push back against the urge to fight violence with more violence. We will be more effective when we invest in mental health care, when we invest in opportunities for our youth, and when we invest in robust parks, libraries, and recreation centers. I'll leverage my position to oppose unwanted disruptive developments. We should affirmatively prioritize community voices and projects that impact our neighborhoods. We will continue to look at the effects of this 76ers arena in the Fashion District to protect Chinatown and the quality of life in the surrounding neighborhoods as well. And I'll prioritize the climate crisis. We are already experiencing many of the effects here in the city: hotter temperatures, extreme flooding, rising sea levels. We must reduce our city's carbon emissions while preparing our buildings, our roads, our transit, and public spaces for climate impacts. We all deserve clean water to drink. All of us deserve clean air to breathe. We all deserve a livable world. Local government has an important role to play in making our city resilient and prepared for a warming world. I promise that I'll dream big with this city, with my colleagues, and I won't let my dreams get in the way of making change. I am a pragmatist at heart. That's true, I'm a Virgo. But I'm not afraid to work with anyone who's dedicated to fighting poverty, helping people, and protecting the place within which we live. In policymaking, you don't often hear the word creativity often, except in the new committee that I've been honored to chair. But that is what my office intends to bring to this table. Creativity. The status quo is not working and hasn't been working for people who need it most in our city. So I intend to bring forth ideas that'll push the limits of what the government can do. That's what we should do. And while I fully intend to roll the ship in the same direction as my colleagues as much as possible, I'm not afraid to roll backwards if we need to right the wrongs of the past. Sometimes that's necessary. I'd like to take a moment to discuss my purpose here in City Council chambers. On its face, I'm here like the rest of my colleagues, to work with the council president, our new council president, who has made so many investments in us already to make sure that we are prepared for this work, as well as the mayor, the first black woman to lead this city. Working with him to deliver quality and accessible city services, I do intend to do that. On the other hand, I do not work for the council president. I do not work for the mayor, or even necessarily the taxpayers. To be clear, as you may know, I am a pastor, which means I work solely for a higher hope, a deeper devotion and good, the higher power, whatever that may mean for all of you. I work to serve the humanity that ruminates through all of us, that flows through our cells in our body, that motivates us to get up in the morning, to be kind to each other, to help each other, to actually live out the care and the common sense that we should be living out, to face our fears, to bridge our divides. In my world, we call this faith. And as I sit here in a unique position at the intersection of my faith and call to justice, I can't help but feel extremely motivated, devout even, holy about my purpose to serve the people of Philadelphia and beyond. From Turtle Bay to Palestine, all our liberation is tied together, and it is my duty and your duty to honor and to fulfill it. Song says, if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody where they're traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If we can do our duty as a good one ought, if we can bring back beauty to a world that's wrought, if we can share love's message as the Master taught, then our living will not be in vain. My living will not be in vain. My living will not be in vain. Oh. If I can show somebody where they're traveling wrong, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can help somebody as I pass along, then our living will not be in vain. Glory to God and power to the people. Thank you so much.
So, Member O'Rourke, you know, we have our in-house pastor, and so we will call on you from time to time, but now we want to hear a song or two on a tune. I think we may call on you, but good job. Thank you very much. Any other speeches on behalf of the minority who I see isn't here at this moment? I would like to call on the Honorable Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. First, I'd like to congratulate you on your second council session as our council president. I look forward to serving under your leadership and working with you and the leadership team and all of the council members to move Philadelphia forward. In addition to that, I'd like to welcome all of our new members of council. Please give them another round of applause. We congratulate each and every one of you and welcome back to all of the seasoned members of Philadelphia City Council. But today, Mr. President, I rise to bid adieu and to say what Maya Angelou says we should always say, which is thank you, because thank you is what we say to God. Today, Mr. President, I am reminded about a saying that Miss Sadie Reynolds, mother of former council member Blondell Reynolds Brown, and she would always say, nothing good or bad lasts forever. Nothing good or bad lasts forever. So today I rise to say thank you to Dornell Burrell on his last day as a team member in the office of KGR. Stand up, Dornell. He is completely embarrassed by this moment, I know. But Dornell Burrell is what I call an A1, day one team member in my office. And before that, Mr. President, Dornell was also a part of my finance team when I first ran for office in 2019. He joined the team in 2020 and has been here every single day since I started as a member of Philadelphia City Council. Dornell was responsible for our apprenticeship guidebook, our Labor Fridays program. He has been our labor liaison. He's been all throughout the Philadelphia community, and Dornell has done so much on behalf of our office and has always been a wonderful team member. Dornell is what Blondell Reynolds Brown used to say, gone without the E. So while he's departing from the office, he'll be joining one of our partner organizations in Everybody Builds. They assist us in doing the work to ensure that we can properly connect our constituents to opportunities in the apprenticeship world. And I know that Dornell will do an excellent job. I know that he will take all of the training that he has had in the school of BRB and KGR Hard Knocks with him over to Everybody Builds. So today I say thank you, Dornell. Kudos and congratulations on a job well done. Thank you so much.
Great job. I've known Darnell prior to him coming to council. Very, very fine young man. Wish you the best in your future endeavors. At this time, I would like to call on the chair recognizes Councilmember Anthony Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to simply say that I too am excited to see you up there in your second official business role of Council President. So we're looking forward to your guidance and your leadership, and already you've been doing a great job. So thank you, Council President. You look good up there.
Thank you.
I also want to thank our Majority Leader, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, for all the guidance and support that she's also given, and looking forward to working with her too. I just want to say that this is going to be an incredible year in the Philadelphia City Council. As our Council President has said on numerous times, it is a new day. Today we were able to start on time for the first time in many years. And we've also seen some other changes that has been, led by our leadership team with Council President. But I also look forward to working this year as the new chair of Parks and Rec, as well as the chair of Children and Youth and Vice Chair of Education. I want to take time to say that, we're going to do a lot of work in the city to help one of our most vulnerable populations, and that is our young people and our adult citizens. And through this committee, our hope is that we can extend programs around Children and Youth Committee, around out-of-school time programs, look and review that, juvenile justice issues, and examine issues around parenting, among other things that we can do to support young people and families in the city. And then lastly, I do want to note that I'm thankful for the guidance and support of our Councilwoman Cindy Bass, who was the previous chair of Children and Youth. I look forward to working with her, and then also Isaiah Thomas on the Education Committee. We will be having a district office open house on February 21st in the 9th District. So come on by, learn about all the initiatives and exciting things that we're going to be doing this year around building the village. It's going to be at 1503 Wadsworth Avenue from 4 to 7 p.m. So if you're in the 9th District and you're listening, you know who you are: East Oak Lane, Alny, Mount Airy, West Oak Lane, Fern Rock, Logan, as well as Lower Northeast. Come on out, and I look forward to meeting you and seeing you February 21st, 4 to 7 p.m., 1503 Wadsworth Avenue from 4 to 7 for open house. See you soon. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. I want to also acknowledge the presence of the leader of Local 332, Mr. Sam Staton Jr. Thank you for joining us today. At this time, I acknowledge Councilmember Jamie Gaudier.
Thank you, Council President, and congratulations once again on your presidency. Congrats as well to the whole majority leadership team as well as to the minority leadership team. I'm really excited about everything we'll accomplish together this term. If you stop someone on the street and ask them what makes Philadelphia special, they will tell you it is because we are a city of neighborhoods. But the very thing that makes Philadelphia, Philadelphia is under attack, because many of our neighborhoods are becoming hostile to the Black and brown families who have stewarded them for generations. More than 4 in 10 West and Southwest Philadelphia families live in homes they cannot afford. And citywide, we have a rent gap of $75 million every month. This money does not come out of thin air. Annually, it represents nearly $900 million worth of essentials like health care and food that our constituents can no longer afford because they have to spend it on rent. And it embodies hundreds of millions of dollars that should be flowing into our local economy. No matter where you look, data tells the same story. Far too many Philadelphians can no longer afford to live in Philadelphia. So we have a choice. The communities that endured redlining, endured deindustrialization, endured disinvestment, will they finally be able to look to their local government as their champion, or will we let the displacement tidal wave wash them away? As the chair of Council's Committee on Housing and Neighborhood Development and the Homeless, as well as the city's only elected urban planner, I refuse to stand idly by as our neighborhoods face this existential threat. We cannot get to Z before first achieving A. And while homeownership might be the ultimate goal, we need genuinely affordable rental units to get there, because you cannot save up for a down payment if you're spending half of your income on rent. That's why this term, I will re-up my efforts to help good faith community-based developers build new, genuinely affordable housing for families, for aspiring homeowners, and for tenants. This means increasing funding in our Housing Trust Fund and investing money in it back into our neighborhoods, as well as putting our city-owned vacant land to work for housing that most Philadelphians can actually afford. And nowhere is this effort more important than in neighborhoods of opportunity, where residents can easily access family-sustaining jobs, high-quality schools, public transportation, and other amenities that will help them to thrive. And while we build new units, we can break down barriers preventing thousands of families from accessing safe, stable, and affordable homes by cracking down on rampant illegal discrimination against residents using housing vouchers. Homeowners desperately need our help too. Families and seniors who have proudly owned their homes for decades are being displaced, not by rising rents, not by mortgage payments, but by city-imposed property taxes. The city must recognize and rectify its own role in displacement. That's why I will also take a forensic look at our property tax code and work towards real estate tax equity. Our neighborhoods are counting on City Council to chart a new course, one that defies displacement. There is a lot to do, but if we do not act with the sense of urgency this crisis demands and a willingness to reject the broken status quo that created this mess in the first place, we may no longer be able to call Philadelphia the multiracial, multi-generational Mecca that makes us so unique and so special. I look forward to hitting the ground running and working with my council colleagues, the Parker administration, neighborhood-based developers, and the community to achieve housing justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, my name is Jeffrey Young, Jr. I'm a father. I'm a fiance to my lovely fiance, Jennifer. I know she's watching. She sent me screenshots all morning. And I'm an attorney. Yes. And I'm the council member for the 5th Council District here in the city of Philadelphia. So for those of you who don't know, the 5th District comprises of North Philadelphia, Fishtown, and parts of Center City. And as a protege of a former 5th District Council member turned mayor, colleagues, I'm sorry, I must warn you, over the next few years while I have the floor, I will be brief no matter how long it takes. This really is a full circle moment for me, having walked into this building 20 years ago as a high school intern. From being a person whose father dropped out of Gratz to an attorney and now a member of this esteemed body. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that through the struggles of witnessing substance abuse and domestic violence, I'd be here? Who would have thought that after losing my childhood home to mortgage foreclosure because of a single mother's inability to work due to a disability, that I'd be here? Who would have thought that someone whose grandmother had less than a 5th grade education and lived in public housing for 50 years, that I'd be here? Who'd have thought that after losing countless friends and family to the streets and violence that plagued the city of Philadelphia, that I'd be here? I'll tell you who. Me. My family and my close friends, those who love me and sacrificed for me, who halted their own lives to make sure that I made the ballot. Despite the struggles they're all going through in their own lives. To a community who is struggling while you're going through it, it's hard to see the light at the end. It's hard to see why you're eating ramen noodles for 3 months straight during your first semester in law school, Mr. President, right? It's hard to see why you're struggling to balance the rigorous academic requirements with a social life when your peers in law school are the children of judges, corporate partners, and United States senators. This is a message for all who can hear my voice. We belong here. We deserve to be in these rooms. No matter what we face, the obstacles that are in our way, we always have a choice. You will always have a choice to stay positive, to keep going, and chase your dreams. To quote the artist Meek Mill, this is for my dream chasers. Keep chasing. Grind gonna turn into your shine. Be patient. To all who can hear my voice, I am proof that if you believe in yourself and surround yourself with love and positivity, your dreams come true. Council President, I am really living my dream to represent my community. And with this representation, today I introduced a resolution calling for this body to hold hearings to examine the impact of the Abandoned and Blighted Property Act, also known as Act 135, colleagues you've heard from Ms. Lindsay Franklin on how this has impacted her family's lives. I can tell you that there are hundreds more out there like her. Although it is well-intentioned, in practice, this law has become predatory and strips the equity away from disadvantaged communities, and this is something I know for a fact. I know this because I've represented multiple clients in court defending their property rights, trying to maintain what little wealth they have, which has been passed down by a family member or a loved one. And as you all heard from Ms. Franklin, many victims being low income and just struggling to survive. And colleagues, many of whom I've known well before becoming a member of this body, it is with this lived life experiences that I'll use to guide my principles to ensure that residents throughout the 5th District and beyond are protected. Mr. President, I'm excited to do the work of the people because I am the people. As I've stated time and time again, I've always been a public servant at heart. I've always been the voice of the voiceless, and being an elected official, being chosen by the people to represent them is the highest honor of public service. It's so surreal again being in here. Just as I said, I was an intern 20 years ago and walking around a shy kid, not knowing what direction I wanted to go in life. But now today, with this new energy of my colleagues, the new energy of Mr. President, the new energy of the mayor, I do believe that this city can go in the right direction and become the greatest city that this country has. We have everything necessary to do that. We have every mode of transportation. As the Vice Chair of the the Transportation and Utilities Committee, we'll make sure that our air is protected, our freight is protected. As the Chair of Streets and Services Committee, we'll make sure that your quality of life is protected in this city. We gotta slow these damn cars down. Thank you, Councilwoman Lozada. So to my colleagues, we have to do the work of the people. We have to. The people put us here, and it's our duty to represent them to our fullest effect. So with that, Mr. President, I look forward to working with you. I've known you before you were an elected official, doing my Put It Down's Guns rally, with Mr. Darrell Schuler. So I look forward to this. I'm excited about this, to do the people's work. And if you're not excited about this, I think you're in the wrong job. So thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Rue Landau.
Thank you so much, Council President. Thank you to all my colleagues who spoke before me for that amazing and heartfelt personal speech as well. Colleague Young. I would add, not only do we have all of the elements for Philadelphia to be our greatest success, but we also have the will. And I feel like we harness the energy and the optimism and the will from this body with our great leadership and the leadership in the mayor's office. Nothing's going to stop us. So I am with you all the way. I want to say how honored I am to have been elected and to serve my first session as a council member. These first few weeks have been a whirlwind and wonderful. And I'm really excited to get to work with all 16 of my colleagues to improve our city. As the newly appointed chair of the Technology and Information Services Committee, I introduced the 57 plus blocks resolution to hold hearings that will bring in subject matter experts, community members, and urban policy thought leaders to discuss data-driven solutions to our gun violence epidemic. We have an opportunity to utilize data more holistically to develop community-based and neighborhood-specific solutions to violence across the city, and we must seize that opportunity. In 2021, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported that there are more than 57 blocks in Philadelphia that experience the highest rates of gun violence. These blocks exist within the intersection of historical and present racism, disinvestment, and poverty. Since that report, the number of blocks affected have continually increased. The 57 Plus Blocks Coalition, led by the ingenious Reverend Dr. Holston, sets the standard for the rest of us on how to literally save people's lives. Philadelphia is full of imaginative, powerful community leaders who are organizing as we speak to combat the gun violence epidemic that robs young Philadelphians of their future. We must use every single resource at our disposal to support and uplift their efforts. And that means being creative and strategic with how we use data and technology across the city. Throughout the hearings, I look forward to learning from experts and those with lived experience to gain more information about the evidence-based solutions we can implement at a legislative body. I thank my colleagues for their support on this resolution, Council President Johnson, Council Members Jones, Gaudier, Squilla, Bass, Phillips, Gilmore Richardson, Harity, Young, O'Neill, O'Rourke, Driscoll, Thomas, Brooks, and Ahmed. There's a lot of us who want to make significant change. I can't wait to work with Councilmember Gaudier as Vice Chair of the Housing Committee and with with Majority Whip Thomas on legislative oversight and all of my other committees. We're going to make real change. And as everybody has shouted out their spouses and significant others, my wife can't be here today because she is diligently representing low-income Philadelphia homeowners, but shout out to her who's watching me right now. Thanks.
As we wrap up, so the press always asks a lot of questions, right? You know, are you excited and how you feel about today? And I went on the record several different times really talking about me being excited for my colleagues. And it was based upon all of your energy, your enthusiasm, which was shown today. And so we look forward to us collectively working together to move this great city of Philadelphia forward. And it's an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity not only to lead you, but most importantly, work beside you and advocating for those who need a voice. And so with that being said, the chair recognizes Councilmember Thomas for a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, 1 second. The chair recognizes Councilmember Nina Ahmad.
Yes, I won't be long. I just want to first thank you, Council President, for your leadership, your entire team here, particularly our Majority Leader, who has been very kind in welcoming and checking up on all of us, our whip and our deputy whip, who's my neighbor here and neighbor in real life. I am so honored to be here. I want to thank the city of Philadelphia, Philadelphians, for voting for someone like me, who is, been invited into this space by so many of you by voting for me. As an immigrant to this city has taken care of me, has loved me, loved my children, my family. I've been able to do all this and be sitting here today. I pinch myself to say, only in this country is it possible for someone like me to come here with nothing and get here and get an education, have a home, raise 2 lovely children, have a business with my husband, and finally be able to serve the city of Philadelphia. I make a vow that I will be always the diligent public servant that I should be and I will be, and my door is open, 557. I won't speak to the resolution I spoke about, but we must make sure we do not forget anybody. There's a lot of people who feel invisible in this city, and we must make every effort on every front to make sure their voices are heard and their needs are met. So I thank all my colleagues here for being here, for doing this work of this great body. And while Philadelphia has challenges, Philadelphia has a lot of promise, enormous amount of promise. And I'm very glad to see we're going to be data-oriented, evidence-based. I'm delighted as the only scientist on this body to see all my colleagues excited about doing work that actually has results and to be able to track those, be accountable and transparent. So I thank you all for your attention. I thank everybody in this August chamber. I just once again say thank you for having me.
Thank you. And just for a matter of data, As a body today, we introduced 21 bills and 28 resolutions. I think that's a good start. And so with that being said, the chair recognizes Councilmember Thomas for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Council President, and again, congratulations to all of my colleagues, both new and old. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, February 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. sharp. Council President, 10 a.m. sharp.
Can we have a second? It has been moved and seconded that council stand adjourned until Thursday, February the 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. sharp. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you all very much.